welcome to our November 10th board meeting. I hope that you are all well. As you can see, we're still meeting remotely, so I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everybody if they would please rise for the flag salute. Those of you joining us at home will see that Mr. Boyce has a flag over his right shoulder, and Mr. Pantillo usually has one, but I do not see it. There we go. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Maybe one day we'll be able to edit out the Pledge of Allegiance so that we're all like in sync or something. Everybody's different voice. All right. Please be advised that adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, has been provided by action of the Board of Education at its regular meeting on December 10th, 2019, and notice to the Courier News Star Ledger circulated in the school district, and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education website and building bulletin board, administrative headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Miss Matthews.
Here.
Mr. Carlson is absent. Mrs. Olson.
Here.
Mr. Puntillo.
Here.
Dr. Sadin is absent. Mr. Kimmick.
He's here.
Okay. Mrs. Van Horn.
Here.
Mr. Sergio.
Present, sir.
Mr. Jess.
Here.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you. At this time, we're open for public comment for any item related to the agenda items. Ms. McAtee, do we have any comments for agenda items?
At this time, we do have comments, but they are not on the agenda items yet.
Great. Thank you very much. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close public portion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on, may I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our meeting on October 6th?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Van Horn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. And for those of you watching at home, Mr. Kimmick is muted because he has the Rutgers ensemble practicing in his basement, and so he doesn't want to be rude and have us not be able to hear him. So he is giving us the thumbs up if he is in agreement. Moving on to board president's report, all I would like to do is wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, tell everybody to please stay safe, and enjoy the upcoming holiday season. Turn it over to Dr. Tian.
Okay, for tonight's district highlights, I just want to start off by extending the condolences from the district to Susan Moran, who unfortunately lost her husband over this past weekend. For Vanderveer grades PS5, Vanderveer preschool teachers have created a weekly newsletter providing parents with resources and activities to continue learning at home. Included are parent tips for literacy development, learning games, and family activities. These suggested items can be used by families with students in all grade levels at Vanderveer School. The link to the preschool corner can be found in the Vanderveer section of our weekly newsletter that we send out every Friday. Hispanic Heritage celebrations took place this month in the classrooms around the school. The fifth graders are highlighted for their research on famous Hispanic Americans and their contributions to the world we live in. Also, the fifth grade students participated in the creation of visual representations to celebrate these Hispanic American icons through digital posters and Google Slides. Students were given opportunities to create a video focusing on Hispanic heritage and use what they have learned in social studies, Spanish, and music class to teach someone else about how Hispanic Heritage Month is a national effort to honor Hispanic Americans and to recognize their contributions to the United States. The third grade teachers are doing an outstanding job integrating foundation lessons into their daily instruction, and the third grade students rocked their Unit 2 assessments. The newly established VDV Cultural Awareness Committee had their first meeting in October to discuss the goals of the committee. The committee is made up of teachers and staff members to build awareness of and to celebrate all existing cultures among our students and staff members. Halloween was celebrated this year at Vanderveer with students dressed up in their costumes throughout the day on Friday. Mr. Reevy and Ms. Shaw visited the classrooms to see the in-person students in their costumes, as well as surprising some of the virtual classrooms with Batman Mr. Reevy and Vampire Mrs. Shaw. Some of the grade level teachers' themes consisted of flowers from the kindergarten, Sesame Street in the 3rd grade, Hungry Hippos in the 1st grade, preschool colored Play-Doh cans, and the 4th grade school of anglerfish equipped with illuminating headlamps. For Somerville Middle School, they sank their paws into the School Violence Awareness Week and had an array of activities that reminded students of our commitment to support the reduction and/or elimination of school-related violence everywhere. Our activities this year included engaging all of our students in an NJ-DOE climate survey, the introduction of a virtual calming corner led by Dr. Stroh and Mrs. Badawi, promoting our Don't Sweat It Day activities and events, and distributing stress management tip cards to the entire school, and continuing with our renowned Pause for Respect program. Red Ribbon Week started off with a blast of red with Wear Red Day. We then kicked off other activities that included a grade level drug-free pledge and incentives experience, a school-wide distribution of Red Ribbon Week bracelets, and a parent mailing of resources from the Foundation for a Drug-Free World. Our first ever Hispanic Heritage Celebration exhibit and display was held in the Grand Atrium, and it was nothing but spectacular. Our teachers brought our students to the atrium to engage in a gallery walk, whereupon students learned about the many contributions our Hispanic Latino community members have and continue to have on American society and culture. The middle school also celebrated Halloween with their Halloween Fest 2020, and it was spectacular. They had over 50% of their teachers, with the help of their students, decorate their doors to compete for top honors in the Halloween door decorating contest. Also, many of our students came to school with their creative and theme-inspired costumes. Pictures of the door decoration contest participants are on the SMS website for all to view, so go check it out. Their first fall hybrid picture day went exceptionally well, as almost all of our virtual students were able to come in person and have their pictures taken. Mr. Benjamin and Ms. Peruso posted onto the SMS website the dates and virtual meeting links for the middle school's 2021 Coffee with the Principal series. The virtual meeting opportunities will afford parents an additional way to learn about the many great happenings that impact their child's academic, social, and emotional growth and development at the middle school on a daily basis. Somerset County VOTEC applications are live on the VOTEC website. 8th graders and their parents can go to the website to apply for admission into the program. For Somerville High School, and hopefully I'm not stealing the thunder of our student reps, School Violence Awareness Week. Every 3rd week in October is designated School Violence Awareness Week. The week was dedicated to discussing methods for keeping schools safe from violence and learning how to recognize students in need of help. In an effort to educate and empower students, we continue to promote self-regulation, which is the ability to manage emotions and behavior in accordance with the demands of the situation. A virtual calming corner has been created as a place for our students, staff, and parents to go to relax and unwind. Congratulations to senior Roy Sibaha on being selected for the College Board National Hispanic Recognition Program for Excellence in Academic Achievement. Roy qualified for this recognition for his outstanding performance on the PSAT exams. Well done, Roy. School Spirit Week was held during the week of October 26th, with the SHS Student Council coordinating School Spirit Days. The activities included Masked Up Monday, Twin Tuesday, Wacky Sock Wednesday, and Sports Jersey Thursday. And that concludes our district highlights.
Thank you, Dr. Tian. Always some good things going around, and thank you to all of our staff for continuing all those good things in these difficult times. It is greatly appreciated by everyone. Mr.
If I may,
Boyce.
Mr. President.
Yep. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to reiterate Dr. Tian's statement. Susan Moran has been as many of you can probably attest. Susan Moran, I consider a dear friend. I am friends with her on Facebook, and I love how she captured all of the moments with her husband, and I really just pray for her and the family moving forward, and I hope the warm memories bring them peace during this time.
Well said, Luke. I agree. Our condolences and our thoughts and prayers go out to Sue and to the whole family. Mr. Boyce, please note Dr. Sadin joined us, so she's here. And now for our student representatives. Kara, you're first. Have at it.
Well, there's usually one thing that Dr. Tian always steals. This time it was Spirit Week. Yeah, I was just going to talk about how we had Spirit Week leading up to Halloween. A lot of students participated. I know that, especially in this time, students are really excited to be involved and just participate in something. So I know a lot of people that I saw did end up participating in Spirit Week, including myself. We also have Battle of the Classes going on throughout the beginning of the year. I think there might be an event at some point, but I'm not sure. I didn't get any clarification on that. But it's usually every Thursday and Friday, the A and B cohorts combine will dress up or wear something that is assigned for those days, and each class is competing to get the highest amount of students involved in that. So that's also like a Spirit Week, but it's been going on since the beginning of the year. I also wanted to talk about how peer leadership has started up, and we visited the classrooms of the World Studies for freshmen, and we shared a video that we created where all the peer leaders are introduced. And so we went and we showed that and answered any questions that the freshmen had, helped them sign up because we are doing it virtually this year, which I think is going to be interesting, but it should still be fun. And our first meeting is going to be this Thursday. So we have our own little Google Classroom where we're going to hold our meetings. So that should be fun and new. Definitely able to see the stress behind the teachers posting things on Google Classroom, because today I tried posting my group made a little invite card to post for all our freshmen to see so that they know what time to be there. And I had to try and post it, I'd say about 20 times. It kept saying, nope, try again. So definitely lots of more respect gained for the teachers there. And another thing that is a little bit different this year about peer leadership. Okay. Is that we are now having 4 peer leaders per group instead of 2, because there weren't as many signups, unfortunately, as there usually were. But this year we're going to combine 2 co-leaders, so now we have a bigger
You don't
group
have any sound.
Go ahead, Kara.
Okay. Moving on to Valkyrie, we all finished our articles back in October, the beginning of October. So I believe that was sent out virtually this year. Very sad that we can't have it handheld, but I still think it came out really great. And Yearbook Club is doing really well this year. And I think it's going to be one of our best yearbooks because it's really interactive, and they have made an Instagram where students can send in their own pictures of what they did during quarantine and how it looks like doing sports this year. And they also have an app that students can send things in on, as well as you can, if you know a member, you can always just send the pictures directly to them if you have their number. So I really am hopeful for this yearbook. I think it's going to be really great.
I have no sound here. So I think I'm gonna.
All right, that was all I had. So Amanda, if you wanted to go.
Thanks, Kara. Welcome. First of all, before you go, I just want to welcome you. So everybody welcome Miss Amanda Grace, who is the student representative for Branchburg. So we welcome you and hope we don't bore you too much. So have at it, Amanda.
No. Well, hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here with you all tonight. As Kara was talking about student activities, I want to talk about the virtual learning experience of students, especially in the high school. So it's still a learning experience with the closing of marking period 1, but we definitely have improved a great amount since March. As a student myself, who does better in person, it's been a little bit of a struggle getting adjusted to it, but the teachers have been very, very understanding and helping the students to their best of their ability to help with their grades and get them on the right track for the rest of the school year, because we don't know how long this is going to last, but we are all doing the best of our ability to make it as much of a normal year as possible. One way teachers have really been helping students is with extra help. They really stress this in class, their office hours, going and making sure that their students really understand the material, especially the virtual students, because it can be hard to understand at home and you're not in person with the teacher there helping you through a problem. And online, a student might be more reluctant about asking for help. So especially in the more rigorous courses, those teachers want to have their students come for their office hours and make sure that they are fully understanding the content. So students all over the place kind of feel differently about online learning. Some students do better online rather than in person. And then some students absolutely hate online learning, and some are in between. So it's really student preference, but overall, everyone's been doing really great, trying to keep each other on the right path. Another thing I wanted to touch on was Mr. Foley's messenger. He's been sending this out to parents every week, usually on Fridays, filling them in on what's been happening with the week. I think he has a meeting with them too. I think Kara talked about it, but just trying to bring connection back. And while we seemed most disconnected at this point, this is a way to bring everybody back and just trying to have a normal year. So marking period 1 ends end of next week or this week, end of this week. But overall, has been doing really great. The only thing that a lot of teachers and especially Mr. Foley are touching on is virtual gym, which seems like an easy class, but I guess some students just slip their mind because, gym class online seems a little silly. So they might forget it. But other than that, everyone's been doing really great, and it'll just get better from here with practice. And that's all I really have.
Great. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Amanda. We always look forward to your reports. And Amanda, again, welcome. You ladies are free to stay for the entire meeting, or if you have homework or something better to do, please feel free to, go and do what you like. Moving on now to finance, I'm going to ask Mr. Puntillo if he would move those items as Mr. Carlson is not here this evening. But you're on mute, Dan, so please unmute yourself.
All right. It is recommended that items 1 through 8 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Board secretary's financial reports, acceptance of monthly reports, payroll, bills list, line item transfers, school bus emergency evacuation drill report, number 7, ESA, IDA 2020-2021 grant salaries, and number 8, donation in the Somerville Middle School.
Thank you, Mr. Puntillo. May I have a second on those items, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, can we have a roll call on those items, please?
Yes, Miss Matthews,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
I know Mrs. Olson is having, I think, technical difficulties with sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Working with her.
Okay, Mr. Puntillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmett,
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Olson.
Okay, Mr. Kimmick.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes, sir.
Looks like
Mr. Jess.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks.
All right, Mr. Puntillo.
I guess it should say, resolve the Board of Education approve, accept the school. Wait a minute. I don't have, for some reason.
Mr. Puntillo.
Items 9 through 21 be approved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools.
Well, item, if I might,
Yeah, I think what I missed was the one line that tells you the difference between the two. So it should have been, we should have done 8, 9, 10, and 11 in the last round. And then 12 on should be the district-wide one.
right, so we did items 1 through 8. So if you, Mr. Puntillo, can
All right,
move
so let me,
item 9 and 10, and
it's recommended that items 9 and 10 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 9 would be roof replacement and related work at Vanderveer Elementary School. And number 10 would be windows balance or replacement at Somerville Middle School.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call
Hold
on
on.
those items, please?
Kristen was doing something, but she's muted.
Sorry, I can't get it turned off. At the risk of running through it again, can we look at 11?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yes, item number 11 also, Dan, should be
Oh,
included with
I'm
9
sorry.
and 10.
And
Okay.
and item 11, disposal of obsolete materials.
May I have a second on that item?
Second.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Van Horn.
Kristen.
All right, Mr. Boyce, roll call, please.
Ms. Matthews.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Okay, I'll skip Mrs. Olson for now. Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Dr. Staten.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
One more chance for Mrs. Olson. Okay, I'll record it as an abstention.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it is recommended that items
12 through 24.
12 through 24 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. 12 is bills list. 13 is 2021 school year interlocal transportation services resolution. 14, amendment to the Somerville Board of Education's long range facilities plan. 15 is track reconstruction at Somerville High School. 16, LT's contract OTS access and internet port. 17 is LT's contract student Wi-Fi devices. 18 is MacBook part purchase. 19, submission of Form M1 and comprehensive maintenance plan. 20 is roof replacement and related work at Somerville High School. And 21, school security grant project. 22 is disposal of obsolete materials. And 23 is field trips. I don't
And
think
24.
24, sir.
24?
24 is business of the board.
Yeah, I don't have that one for some
All right, so
reason.
24 is business of the board resolved that the Board of Education hereby approve to authorize Dr. Timothy T. and Superintendent of Schools to conduct the business of the board and employment between board meetings to be affirmed at the next board meeting.
I'm
so have
working
an
on the
item-
old agenda.
12 through 24 move. May I have a second on those items, please?
Second.
Whoa, everybody all at once. I'm going to go with Mrs. Matthews because I heard her the loudest. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Ms. Matthews.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Okay, skip Mrs. Olson for now. Mr. Puntillo.
Yes.
Dr. Saden.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
One more time for Mrs. Olson. Okay, recorded as an abstention.
Thank you. All right, moving on to curriculum. Mrs. Van Horn.
Okay, curriculum committee met on October 6th, 2020. We discussed the virtual PD day choices and the November 4th PD day, which just occurred last week. The district focused on equity and academic growth in literacy and math. There were weekly parent academy sessions that covered technology and other topics to make the virtual learning components easier for parents. We discussed the upcoming rewrite of the K-12 social studies curriculum and how to support that curriculum for the coming school year. And we talked about the shift required for the instructional model. Okay, and then it is recommended that items 1 and 2 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 1 is the Vanderveer Elementary School Spanish program. Number 2, an harassment, intimidation, and bullying report at Vanderveer, unconfirmed.
Thank you. May I have a second on those items, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, roll call, please.
Yes, Miss Matthews,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Okay, Mr. Puntillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Okay, it is recommended that items 3 through 5 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 3 is the travel expenditure resolution. Number 4, Board of Education Branchburg student representative, appointing Amanda Grace, who we met tonight. Number 5, update to a uniform state memorandum of agreement between education and law enforcement officials.
Excellent. May I have a second on those items, please?
Second, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Any discussion?
Just welcome, Amanda. Welcome aboard.
Any other discussion? No? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Miss Matthews,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson, Mr. Puntillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to buildings and grounds. Mr. Puntillo.
Okay, all our work orders are being taken care of on a timely fashion, but I would like to bring up that we're currently awaiting the final construction of our facilities long-range plan. I will alert you that it's a mandated process. We need to identify our facility needs for the next 5 years. The architect has identified approximately $70 million worth of projects over the 5 years. And I just wanted to alert people to that encumbrance that we might embrace in the next few years.
Great. Thank you. Moving on, Technology Committee. Mr. Kimmick.
Thank you, Mr. Jess. We were able to meet yesterday for a time ahead of the board meeting just to talk about a number of the things that are already present in the agenda today, but just some highlights of the meeting were, again, the student Chromebook exchange for grades 3 through 5, 6, and 9 has now been completed. So a number of new Chromebooks were actually onboarded within the district. So a lot of work went on behind that. That's been ongoing. As mentioned before in some of the finance report, the new firewall was installed and bandwidth has been increased, and that was completed. So that work was something that really took place without any disruption of service, for the entire district. So again, a lot of behind the scenes work taking place on those types of things. Ongoing work continues, working really hand in hand, I think, with the curriculum department to identify the overlap between curriculum and tech and how we can best support teachers and students to make sure that students are as engaged as possible and that the work through distance learning is taking place as seamlessly as possible. And, as mentioned before, in terms of the PD day, work was done around that and focusing on those efforts as well to continue to build capacity, I think, to support the hybrid model moving forward. And then hopefully when we get back to a more normalized environment, just the effective use of all the tech that's been onboarded. So again, thank you to the tech department for all their efforts, and work continues just a lot behind the scenes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Kimmick. And now moving on to the Athletics and Student Activities Committee, to a person who needs no introduction.
All right, thank you, Dr. T, and thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to say it's, since we are working monthly, it's good to see all of my colleagues and to see all of them doing well. And I'm wishing the same to all of the members that are on this meeting and to the community as a whole. Wishing you the best during these unreal times. These are unreal times. However, our athletics and activities program is making the best of it. I'm going to go ahead and do kind of a recap of the fall season. Let's start with girls tennis. The girls, they're great season by the girls, 6-7 overall. Your Pioneer tennis players as they qualify for 14th in the team state tournament. Girls soccer with a 9-3 record overall. Coach Jordy and the Lady Pioneers have once again secured their Valley Division Conference first place, thus and are the second seed in the Central West Group 3 NJSIA playoffs, which begin on November 16th. Be there as goal scorers Ashley Frankel, sophomore Caitlin Scott, Isabel Chrono. Flip the switch and make sure that ball hits the back of the net. Okay, the boys soccer team, 6-5-1 overall. And let me tell you, the goals were scored all over the place. Colin Diodato, Tayden White, Miguel Espinoza led the team with 4 goals each. Colin and Mighty Max Broadbent led the team in assists with 3 each. And Matt Dr. No Graber protected the net with 83 saves. They are seated number 9th in the Central West Group 3 playoffs, which begin November 14th at Robbinsville. Okay, let's go to the boys running club. They finished with a 2-1 record overall. They competed and hosted the Skyland Valley B tournament at White Oak Park. Easy E, Evan Wooby finished 6th, and the big man, Mark Bigsby, finished 20th overall in the individual championship at Phillipsburg. And also, let me give a big shout out to Coach Kafer for his 400th win. The boys will represent the Ville in running style at the state sectional championship this coming Saturday. The girl runners, the lady runners, they are 2-1 overall as well. They competed and hosted the Skyland B at White Oak, and we want to give a hats off to Elise Madigan, who competed and hosted that tournament at Phillipsburg. She will compete in the state sectional championship this coming Saturday. Field hockey, hard-fought season for the Field Hockey Pioneers, and they are seeded 11th overall in the Group 3 playoffs, which begin November 13th at Hillsborough. Okay, let's go to the gridiron. Okay, they are 6-0 overall, 16th in the state, mid-state 38 Mountain Division champions for the 5th straight time. They are led by the ground crew of Cookie Desidario and the Soul Patrol of Mike Miller and Jay Bryant, and the Stonewall defense led by AJ Pena. Okay, they're plowing their way through their undefeated season and crushing their opponents, scoring at least 40 points a game. Now, your Pioneers will be dishing out all kinds of bad luck on Friday, November 13th, against a mighty Woodbridge club. Now, just for a record of how big this game is going to be, okay, Woodbridge is running back, and I don't know his name. He's ranked number 3 in the state, and Cookie's ranked number 4, so that's going to be one for the ages. Okay, they also will finish off the season November 20th against number 16, Phillipsburg, here at the temperate tundra of Gus Vanderbeek Stadium. So be there, please. All right. Hey, I'm going to give it up for the color guard and the marching band. And listen, this was a very interesting season for the marching band. U.S. bands had to get creative during this time, so they hosted several virtual still competitions, which thanks to Mr. Krapansky and Stephen Loretti and Miss Suppin too for the color guard, were able to choreograph and coordinate this. And let me just give you a record of what they've done. They placed second in the Zildjian Vic Firth Challenge. They placed first in the Remo Invitational with a score of 88.50. They placed first in the U.S. Band State Championships with a score of 93.25. And to top it all off, just last week, they placed first in the U.S. Bands Nationals with a score of 95.5. So I want to give a shout out to, our marching band and color guard. They impress every year. One note I did miss, sir, is our freshman football team went 9-0 as well. Okay. Now we're looking into the winter, to the winter sports and winter activities timeline. And for the rest of the committee, I didn't necessarily schedule any athletics and activities meeting, and that was on purpose because I know Director Davis has been extremely busy just maintaining the fall sports program. So I have had conversations with him periodically. Right now, as far as winter sports is concerned, we are starting the winter sports as of now on December 3rd. Okay, that's when tryouts will begin for basketball, wrestling, swimming, anything else. Those announcements will be coming out soon if they haven't come out already. But they are waiting for additional guidance from the NJSIAA, which will be on November 17th. So as of right now, we are moving forward. And if there is any additional information that they may provide, that's going to take place. As far as rules for winter sports, that will be announced as well. As things are, as our current state of affairs, I can imagine that the attendance will be the same as it was for the fall sports. As a matter of fact, it may be even less because these are indoor, but that will also be announced as we get more guidance on the 17th. A bit of good news as well, the winter activities such as music, robotics, and drama, it looks like they will be moving forward, but there will be restrictions as well. And like I said, that'll be announced. As I mentioned, the tryouts are December 3rd. I also want to congratulate, because we have one senior commitment signing. Matt Maselli has committed to live the diamond life and play baseball at Stony Brook University. So I want to congratulate him, Coach Banos, and the whole Maselli family. I'm sure they're proud. They are a baseball family, no doubt. So, and before I go back to you, Mr. President, Dr. Teen, I also, like I mentioned before, Athletic Director Davis and his staff, Ms. Opalski, all the coaches, they've been doing a fantastic and outstanding job in maintaining the sports program in this surreal world. I've been to a few events. I've been to the football games. We have done a fantastic job, and that's a testament to not only the athletic program, but all the staff and you, Dr. Teen, in maintaining this so our student athletes and club members can have the best of a season. So I want to thank you guys, and hats off to all of you. So back to you, Mr. President, and Dr. Teen.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. Thanks for that report. It's great to see all of our teams having a great season, and especially our band and our color guard, because I think they probably had it the most challenging, and for them to excel and be tops at everything is awesome. So congratulations to them as well. And I concur that Mr. Davis and his staff have been doing a phenomenal job, because, I'm attending some of the games, watching the parents social distance and the visitors social distancing. It's really, really good. And you can tell that they're all concerned about their safety, but the safety of the student athletes as well. So we're glad to see that. And we thank everybody and hope that they will continue to do that.
Yeah. Well done.
Moving on. Oh, sorry.
No, I just said well done to all.
Dr. Tien.
Okay. Personnel, PS8, resolved the Board of Education approve and or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of Superintendent of Schools. Appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. Number 1, to approve the appointment of Olivia Starr to complete her field experience at Vanderveer School and should be supervised by Sharon Forrest and Melissa Cody. Number 2, to modify the cafeteria aides rate for the listed individuals. Number 3, to accept the resignation of Melanie Dupert. She's a part-time instructional assistant at Vanderveer School, and that'll be effective December 1st. Number 4, to extend the FMLA FFCRA leave for Donna Lazito to November 20th. Number 5, to extend the FMLA FFCRA leave for Barbara Glinka to November 20th. Number 6, to approve the appointment of Nasha Badawi for completed 2020 summer work at her per diem rate. Number 7, to modify the appointment of Dana Spano for a start date of October 27th at the listed salary. Number 8, to approve Juliette Pasanti to the leave replacement position of occupational therapist at Somerville Middle School, and that's caused by a maternity leave. Number 9, to accept the resignation of Joy Cleveland, a 4/5 speech therapist at Somerville Middle School, and that'll be effective December 31st. Number 10, to abolish the position of 4/5 speech language therapist at Somerville Middle School. Number 11, to abolish the position of 3/5 behaviorist at Vanderveer Elementary School on November 16th. Number 12, to approve a paid maternity leave of absence for Laura Donnelly, and that'll be effective from January 19th to March 12th, and an unpaid child care leave of absence effective March 15th to June 30th. Number 13, to accept the resignation of Dale Reevy from the position of speech therapist at Vanderveer Elementary School, and that will be effective November 24th. And number 14, to approve the appointment of Allison Lozier to the position of speech therapist at Vanderveer Elementary School to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation, and that will be effective November 30th.
Thank you, Dr. Teen. May I have a motion on those items, please?
So move, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sergio. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kimmick. Any discussion? Mr. Boyd, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Miss Matthews,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Okay, Mr. Tillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
For 9 through 12 and district-wide, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools, and the appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. Number 15, to abolish the position of 3/5 speech therapist at Somerville High School on November 16th. Number 16, to approve the newly created position of behaviorist district-wide. Number 17, to approve the newly created position of speech therapist district-wide. Number 18, to approve the newly created position of 3/5 speech therapist district-wide. Number 19, to approve the newly created position of 3/5 school psychologist district-wide. Number 20, to approve the appointment of Julia Ring to complete her field experience at Somerville High School with Sharon Gornick. Number 21, to approve the appointment of Madeline Keating to complete her field experience at Somerville High School with Ashley Russo. Number 22, to approve the appointment of the listed individuals to the position of substitute. Number 23, to approve the appointment of Douglas Gravier to add 1 additional day to his work schedule, which was effective October 19th. Number 24, to modify the appointment of the listed club activity advisor at Somerville High School. Number 25, to accept the retirement resignation of Linda Kemper from Somerville High School. She's a teacher of special education. Number 26, to approve the appointment of Tyler Kaiser to the position of technical coordinator for the 2021 musical performance. Number 27, to approve the appointment of Nicole Zivkovich to the position of choreographer to the 2021 musical performance. Number 28, to approve the appointment of the attached list of individuals to the position of activity club advisor at Somerville High School. Number 29, to approve the appointment of the attached list of individuals to the position of volunteer at Somerville High School. Number 30, to approve student number 201434 to complete his or her their senior year at Somerville High School due to family relocating out of Somerville. Number 31, to approve the appointment of Erin Rosenberg to participate in a 1-day per week practicum, and she'll be with Dr. Danielle Zaricki. Number 32, to approve the appointment of Frank Kupovich to the position of maintenance foreman. Number 33, to extend the FMLA FFCRI leave for Alan Stein to November 6th. Number 34, to approve an unpaid child care leave of absence for Ryan Ure, and that'll be from November 30th to February 26th. Number 35, to approve a paid maternity leave of absence for Rebecca Bell from January 2nd to February 21st, and unpaid child care leave of absence effective February 22nd to June 30th. Number 36, to approve the appointment of Anna Espinoza to the position of volunteer assistant director of chamber choir at Somerville High School for the 2021 school year. Number 37, to approve a transfer of Elizabeth Cahill from the position of 3/5 behaviorist at Vanderveer Elementary School to the position of behaviorist district-wide, and that'll be effective November 16th. Number 38, to approve the appointment of Robert Balsersky to the lead replacement position of teacher of chemistry and that's caused by maternity leave. Number 39, to approve a transfer of Adriana Formanowski from the position of 3/5 speech therapist at Somerville High School to the position of speech therapist district-wide. And number 40, to approve the appointment of Richard Sumliner to the leave replacement position of teacher of mathematics to fill a vacancy caused by a child care leave. And lastly, number 41, to approve the paid maternity leave of absence for Kelly Rockel from February 28th to April 29th, and an unpaid child care leave of absence, which will be effective April 30th to June 30th.
Thank you, Dr. T. And may I have a motion on those items, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Sadin. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Miss Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
You're on mute, Mr. Carlson. He's shaking his head yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
okay. Mr. Pontillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Moving on to old business. Is there anybody have any old business?
I do.
All right. Yes, Mrs. Olson.
I just want to let Brian know that I voted yes on all of those things. Somebody was messing around with my whatchamacallit, my microphone, and that's why I wasn't being heard.
Okay, Mrs. Olson, the minutes will reflect that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Olson.
You're quite welcome.
Any other old business? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close old business, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Everybody jumped out at once, so I'm gonna
Take your pick.
I'll pick Mr. Sergio. 'Cause, he has that melodic tone of his voice. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on to new business. Is there any new business? Well, we have no business. May I have a motion to close new business, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right, we are now open to the public. Mrs. McAtee. Ms. McAtee.
Hi, we have a couple of comments here. The first one is from Donna Lucido, 20 Stella Drive in Bridgewater. She says, hello, my name is Donna Lucido, and I have worked as an instructional assistant at Van Pier for 2 years now. I have worked in many professions and in many different settings over my 30-plus career years, but have found this to be the most satisfying of all. Working in special education is certainly very challenging, but it is also quite rewarding when you see the difference you are making. I have enjoyed working with the very talented staff and incredible students that Somerville and VDV are made of. I believe that I have made significant contributions to the classes and the children within those classes that I have the pleasure of working and assisting with. In September, I unfortunately had to take FFRCA leave to care for my son who has special needs because his school is operating under a hybrid schedule that has him learning virtually for 4 days and 2 half days out of each six-day cycle. Because of his needs, I have not been able to find a daycare facility or caregiver that is suited to help him navigate through his virtual schooling times. It is because of this that I am not yet able to return to my position after the FFCRA 12-week leave ends on 11/20/2020. I would very much like to return to VDV and the work that I have found to be so fulfilling when my situation changes and I am able to work again. With that being said, I am respectfully requesting that you consider granting me a leave extension while I care for my son who cannot do so on his own. Thank you very much for your consideration, Donna Lucido. The next comment is from Patrick Frame, 201 Scobie Lane. Thank you to Carissa Estrella and Angela Flacker for consistently putting students' needs ahead of their own and being a power of example to all students they work with. The next one comes from Malin Harder, is 609 Golden Eagle Drive in Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania. Good evening. My name is Malin Harder, and I've been a teacher at the high school for the past 18 years. I have dedicated my entire professional career thus far to the district and this community. And in fact, your children may have sat in my classroom. I love this district and this community. It has been an honor to be a part of this amazing faculty for so long. This year has certainly been a challenging experience for everyone, and my family has been presented with the same difficulties that many are facing. In August, I was granted leave under the Families First Coronavirus Response Act in order to ensure that I could stay home to care for my children, ages 4 and 6, when their childcare closed and their school schedules went into a hybrid/virtual model. My family was immensely thankful for this. However, as the fall pressed on, it became clear that I would not be able to secure steady childcare until the new year. As such, my family made the tough decision that I would request only an additional 13 days of childcare leave, unpaid, to help us through until that time. I learned yesterday that this leave was denied because the FFCRA only stipulated 12 weeks of leave. However, in the past, employees, including myself, have been granted additional unpaid time after their paid childcare leave. In fact, that very request is on the agenda for tonight. Employees asking for unpaid leave time to be added to their paid leave for childcare. And so I am asking you to reconsider my request, as the history of this type of leave is commonly approved for childcare purposes. Please help me to both care for my own family and still return to continue teaching your children, whom I love so much, in December. Thank you for your time and consideration. And the next one is from Patrick Frayne, 201 Scobie Lane. Thank you, Linda Kemper, for everything you have done for the students and community of Somerville and Branchburg. And those are all the entries we have for tonight.
Great. Thank you, Ms. McAtee. May I have a motion to close the public portion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Sadin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Just a quick comment for Ms. Lucido and Ms. Harder. Thank you for your comments and for the work that you do for our students. Unfortunately, the board is not able to grant that leave without it being on the agenda and without us having all the information. So I would request that you provide Dr. Tian with all the necessary information for his review. And then upon his review, if he feels that the leave is allowable and within district guidance and past practice, he will then put it forth to the board for us to consider. But we cannot take your request at this time and place them on the board agenda for approval. And thank you to all of our staff members who are retiring, especially Mrs. Kemper. We wish you all the best and hope that you have a long, happy, healthy retirement. Moving forward into executive session now, be it resolved that the Board of Education move to recess into executive session to discuss a residency issue and legal matters falling within the attorney-client privilege with respect to this subject. The minutes of the executive session, to the extent permitted by law, will be made available to the public once the issue is resolved, subject to confidentiality requirements, and action may be taken. May I have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Sadin. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Puntillo. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved at 7:25 p.m. into executive session. All right, may I have a motion to re-enter the public session, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Van Horn. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. We are back into public session at 7:48. Mr. Boyce, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. Whereas on November 9th, 2020, the Somerville Board of Education Residency Committee held a residency hearing for student number 203583. And whereas on that date, the parent of the above referenced student attended the hearing and admitted that she and her son are no longer domiciled in Somerville. And whereas the committee, after having heard and consider all of the proofs and testimony presented, recommended to the full board that, due to extenuating circumstances, it permits the student to continue his enrollment in Somerville on a tuition basis, subject to conditions set forth below. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board finds that the above referenced student is not domiciled in Somerville, but permits the pupil continue his enrollment in Somerville on a tuition basis until such time as the family establishes domicile this school year based upon the landlord's representations, and that if domicile is not established by that date, the pupil shall be disenrolled from the district. Be it further resolved that as a condition of the pupil's continued attendance in the district, the parents shall be required to sign a tuition agreement with the board setting forth the terms and condition of the pupil's attendance in the district.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. May I have a motion on that resolution, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. Any discussion? Mr. Boyce, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jess.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you. And there being no other business, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Shurgil. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. We are adjourned at 7:51. Thank you, everyone, and good night.